Okay, we are. Let's go. We are. Mm, 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 mm. We began the new Mishnah talking all about another individual we should strive to not be like. The Zaken Mamre, special person who's a very knowledgeable and has an argument with his local Jewish court, his local Bezdin, and they go up to Yerushalayim, and Yerushalayim issues a ruling that is not like his opinion, and he goes back and he rules not like the great court in Jerusalem. He rules according to what he thinks. So for that, he's liable. Yeah. So now we start off with the entire verse being interpreted. So we are on 87a, Pei Zayin Amud Aleph. We're about 10 lines down. We just mentioned about Yerushalayim being the highest part of Eretz Yisrael, and Eretz Yisrael being the highest land of all the lands. So the words are El Hamakom. First two words in the line are El Hamakom. So you go to the place. You have to go to the place. Milamed Shehamakom Gorim. This teaches you that the place is causes, meaning this only works. This whole Zaken Mamre is only going to work if you go to the place. You have to go up to Yerushalayim. It's the place which is part of the causation of his downfall. So, okay, now, Bishlam Beis Hamikdash, it's understandable that the Beis Hamikdash, the temple, is Gavoa Eretz Yisrael. It's like the highest part of Eretz Yisrael. Dichsiv ve'alisa, and you should go up to the temple. You should go up. But how do you know that Eretz Yisrael, El Eretz Yisrael Gavoa mikol ha'aratzos minole, that Israel is the highest of all the lands? How do you know that? L'chein hine yamim. So now we have a verse from Yirmiyahu that basically talk about the Jews going up from the exile to Eretz Yisrael. L'chein hine yamim ba'amnu Hashem. So the days that came, the words of Hashem, Chai Hashem Asher Hela. So I guess it's a prophecy. Chai Hashem Asher Hela has been Yisrael. So Hashem is the one who took us up from Eretz Mitzrayim. Kim Chai Hashem Asher Hela Asher Hevi Azera Beis Yisrael. Meretz Tzafon Mikol Ratzos. Hashem's going to bring us up from the northern land and from all the lands Asher Yidichisam Shana we were, pushed away into the exile. V'yeshu Alad Masam, and we're going to come sit on our land. So it says there that Hashem's going to share Hele Mikol Haratzos, the same word like Aliyah. So Allah, He's going to bring us up from all the lands. From there, you see Eretz Yisrael is the highest of all the lands. Okay. Tana Rabbana. Now, there's going to be a machlokas now. What category prohibition does a Zaken Mamre have to dispute his local Bezdin and then be brought up and then go up to Yerushalayim and then come back and rule not according to their ruling to be liable for being a Zaken Mamre? So let's see. Tana Rabbana. Zaken Mamre Eino Chayev. He's not going to be Chayev. Ela al Davar Shesdono Kares V'Shigagosel Chatas. Not any dispute he has with his local Bezdin that gets brought up to the greater Bezdin that he then goes back and rules, like he thought and not like they thought, is going to make you a Zaken Mamre. The first opinion is it has to be something which you're liable for kares, and if you do it inadvertently, you'll be liable for a chatas, for a sin offering. That's the opinion of Rav Meir. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, al shedavar she'ikaru midivrei Torah, even on something which is primarily biblical, u'perusho midivrei sofrim, but its interpretation, the rabbis interpreted. So such a thing, if you have a dispute about that, that's also going to make you Zaken Mamre. Rabbi Shimon Omer, afilu diktuk echad midiktuke sofrim, even one thing that the rabbis say that you disagree with your local Bezdin on a rabbinical law, and you get brought up to the Bezdin, so even that, if you come and rule on something which is only rabbinic origin, but you rule not like the Bezdin Yerushalayim, like the way you thought, that also will make you a Zaken Mamre. So three opinions: either it has to be totally Chayev Kares, or something which is its root is biblical, but its interpretation is rabbinic, or the last opinion is even something which is rabbinic, one little iota of a detail of a rabbinical commandment that you disagree with, and then rule according to your to the way you think it is, it's going to be, you'll be liable for a zaken mamre. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. My time at Reb Meir. Reb Meir says it's something which you're chayav kares for. What's the reason for that? Gamar davar davar. He learns davar davar. Ksiv haka. It says over here by the parsha of a zaken mamre ki pole mimcha davar. The matter is very wondrous from you, but it says the word matter davar. Ksiv haka ki pole mimcha davar the mishpat. Uksiv hasam, and it says in another area by Vayikra, if everyone, I believe, rules, if the Sanhedrin tells them a ruling, and the Jews go according to that ruling, and they realize it was a mistake, so it says there also, the nelam davar me'enei akal, the matter was hidden from the nation, so it says davar there also. Malahal and davar, there it's a davar. What kind of davar was did they act according to the ruling of the high court? It was only a davar, it was a matter shechayev al zadono karis v'al shegaso chatas afkan davar shechayev al zadono karis v'al shegaso chatas. So Rav Meir says that only something which is liable for kares are only such a law in the Torah that is liable for kares if the zaken mamre would have a dispute and go up to Yerushalayim, and they would tell him not like him, and he'd go back and rule against the high court of Yerushalayim, then he's considered a zaken mamre. That's the first opinion.
If you're a zaken mamre, you always you don't get punished.
If you check off the boxes, you get killed.
Killed.
Which punishment? Yeah, that was strangulation. Eloheina nechnokin. One of the ones is a zaken mamre. So meaning he has a dispute. So about what? If the tefillin are black or red, left arm red, right arm. So the first pin's only on something which is, and we're going to see a whole daf about all the examples that are going to be chayav kares. So if he had a dispute about that, and then he comes back and rules the way he thought and not the way the high court told him, so for that he's going to be strangled. Rabbi Yehuda says al pi Torah asher yorucha. Rabbi Yehuda, who says something which is primarily biblical and then the interpretation is rabbinic. Al pi Torah asher yorucha ad deika Torah v'yorucha. You need something which is Torah, biblical, v'yorucha, and those two to teach it. So meaning something which is Torah, and therefore, and then the interpretation is going to be rabbinic. So I don't know the exact details, but it'd be like I would imagine something like Hilchos Shabbos. Hilchos Shabbos is a very little written in the Torah, but Hilchos Shabbos, you shouldn't do malacha. One other thing, but the Mishnah in Chagiga says Hilchos Shabbos is like mountains hanging on a hair's breadth, on a piece of hair. It's mountains and mountains. So maybe that's an example of something which is, it's for sure biblical, no doubt about it, but the interpretations, the rabbis interpreted for us. So, I mean, I don't know if Divrei Sofrim, they interpreted or they derived it from one of the Yud Gimel Midos. Does it say here? I don't remember right now. Okay. Okay. I don't remember right now. Yeah, fine. Rabbi Shimon Amar, he says no. Even some which is rabbinical. If you argue on that, then that's also potentially liable to be a zaken mamre, rebellious elder, I guess. Yeah. So, Rabbi Shimon Amar, the Rabbi Shimon asher yagidu lecha min hamakom ahu, afilu koduhu, asher yagidu lach. So the rabbis are going to tell you. So even the smallest amount that they tell you that you disagree with, you'll be liable potentially to be a zaken mamre. Okay. Amar le Rav Huna bar Chinna le Rava. Rav Huna, the son of Chinna, said to Rava, Tirgum ali lahamas nisa ali b'dir Rav Meir. The very top of the Amud interpreted the verse about a zaken mamre to refer to 10, 13 different categories of prohibitions, that if you argue on one of those, you're liable, you're potentially liable to be a zaken mamre. So he's asking him, according to Rav Meir that says you're only liable for something which gets you kares, please explain to me how these 15, whatever it is, that 10, 15 cases are all going to get me kares. Like some of them, you see, it says a leket shichan teya. So like a machlokas in that, how does that get you kares? So all these cases here, they're not all prohibitions of kares. So according to Rav Meir, please interpret for me this brisa. So Amar le Rava le Rav Papa, puk targum. So Rava then told Rav Papa, you go out and go interpret it for him. And now we're going to go literally a daf and a half, interpreting each one of these cases on the top of the Amud, and showing you how even in the cases that seem like there's no kares at all, but we're going to find a consequence of the halacha, which is going to have a ramification in the world of kares, and therefore even Rav Meir will agree to that brisa. Okay, so the beginning of the brisa is ki pale b'mufla shebezdan kasam medaber. Okay, that's just the beginning of the brisa. That it has to be somebody who's a mufla, who's an expert, who's fitting to answer halakha questions. Now, mimcha, the brisa said ze yoetz sheyodei la'aber shanim v'lekvoa chadashim. Mimcha, the word mimcha in the pasuk is referring to someone who knows how to calculate the years and add a month to the year. He knows how to add a leap year. So where in adding a leap year has anything to do with chiyuv kares? That's the name of the game. Find me a chiyuv kares in all of these cases. So says the Gemara. No, not only that, we need something which is a machlokas, two opinions, and the ramification is going to be kares. So, or a lot of them are going to have two opinions. I don't know if every single one, but let's see. So, until when can you? We know that you make Adar is the only month that you make into a leap year. You add a month. Sorry. So until when can you add a month? The Mishnah says, kol Adar. The rabbis say you can make the month. You can kol Adar. You can do it the whole month. Even at the end of Adar, you can say you're having another Adar. And others say shayu omrim ada Purim. Others say no, you can only have until Purim. You can't do the whole Adar. So now, let's say this guy, this Zaken Mamre, has a machlokas. He thought the whole Adar was the right opinion, or he thought until Purim. And the rabbis in his local bezdin, local court, argued with him. So now what's going to happen? The ilahai giza kashari chametz pesach. Ilahai giza kashari chametz pesach. This is something where if you hold like one of the opinions, then according to the other one, they're eating chametz on Pesach, right? If you hold only until Purim, you can add a month, and now it's the 18th of Adar, 19th of Adar. Right now, let's say it's after Purim, and now they add a month. So according to one opinion, when it's Pesach for one, it's only Adar for the other, right? And then the month later, so it's Adar Sheni, and for the other opinion, you're eating chametz on Pesach, right? So that. Right, so according to one, you'll do Purim and other Sheni. Yeah, there's three opinions when Purim is. We hold other Sheni, but some hold other Rishon. Some hold both. Okay, now getting excited. So, yeah, it's saying according to that opinion, what happens if you're after Purim already? Okay, you have to do it. I don't know. Good question. It depends what you hold. If you really hold that other Sheni needs a Purim, because you have to make a Geula next to Geula. So I guess if you hold like that opinion, and you hold that after Purim you can make an extra month, so you probably have to do Purim again. Yeah. That's not the end of the world, right? People won't be so upset, right? So that's right. right. That's right. So okay. So now next part of the brisa, davar zu halacha. So what's that? Zu hilchos echad asar. What's hilchos echad asar? Okay, so we know that a lady that sees blood, so she counts 7 days. Even if she bleeds for them, doesn't matter. After those 7 days, now there are 11 days that are halacha Moshe Sinai. 11 days that are 11 days that are the Yemei Ziva. In those 11 days, if she sees blood for 1 or 2 days consecutively, she has to guard herself the next day from seeing blood, so to speak. And if she doesn't see blood the next day, then she'll go to the mikvah. If she sees blood for 3 consecutive days, she becomes a zava gedola, and therefore she has to now count 7 clean days, Right nowadays, we're machmir that all women that see blood are like a zava gedola, that they have to count 7 clean days. So now, basically, what we have to know is that there's going to be a machlokes that is only 11-day period. So if you see blood on day 4, so day 5 is called the Yom Shimur, the day that you're supposed to not see blood. Now, if you don't see blood, you go to the mikvah. Now, there's going to be a machlokes. What happens when you get to the end of the 11 days? So at day 10, when you see blood, you have no opportunity anymore to be a zava gedola because 11 is coming up. It's only 10 and 11. So what happens on day 10? Is day 10 like day 9? And just like day 9, there's a 3-day possibility still, 9, 10, and 11. So if you see blood on day 9, then day 10 is your Yom Shimur, your day that you wait to not see blood and then go to the mikvah. Or you say, no, day 10 is like day 11 because on day 10, there's no longer a 3-day possibility to become a Zava Gdola. So that's a machlokes coming right up. The Itmar, Asiri, the 10th day of your 11-day period, where you have a chance to become a Zava Ktana, which is like a lower level nida of someone who sees blood, or a Zava Gdola is a higher level nida. So if you have a more of a purification process when you see blood for 3 days consecutively in the 11-day period. So Rabbi Yochanan Amar Asiri Kichi. Rabbi Yochanan says the 10th day is like the 9th day. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish Amar Asiri Ki Echadasar. He says no, the 10th day is like the 11th day, and just like the 11th day, if you see blood, there's no 12th day because only 11-day period. So now Rabbi Yochanan Amar Asiri Kichi, the 10th is like the 9th day. Machi Bayishimur. Just like day 9, you would have to wait day 10. Hopefully, don't see blood. Then you go to the mikvah. Afasiri Bayishimur. So to day 10 also requires shimur guarding. Reish Lakish Amar Asiri Ke'echadasar Machadasar Lo Bayishimur Afasiri Lo Bayishimur. So just like day 10, day 11 doesn't need guarding, so to day 10 doesn't need guarding. Now, in this dispute, so it's going to make a big difference because if you're still the status of a Zava, so that is liable for kares. If someone has relations with a Zava, then you're going to be chayav kares. So now it's going to matter if on day 10 you see blood. So is it like day 9? You have to wait for day 11 or not. So either you're still going to be a Zava or you're not going to be a Zava. So the ramification of that dispute is that that's a chiyuv kares. So yeah, a lady who waits that day, Shomeres Yom, if you have a status of a Shomeres Yom, that now you're waiting the day after you saw blood, now you're waiting. So you're still considered a Zava until your day is over. And if you have relations with such a lady, you're chayav kares. So that's also a dispute that has a ramification in the world of kares. If a Zaken Mamre holds like Rabbi Yochanan or like Reish Lakish, and he argues with his local bezdin about that, and they go up to the high court, and he rules not like his own ruling, that will also be something which could make you a Zaken Mamre. Next part of the brisa, Mishpat Zeddin. Turn the page. So what's Mishpat Zeddin? That's referring to Bito Ma'anu Sasso, a daughter that came out of a rape. Having relations with her is liable. The Amar Rava, how do you know? One of these double Gzeira Shabbos we had a few times already. The Amar Rava, Amar Rav Yitzchak Bar Avdima, Asa Heina Heina, Asa Zima Zima. We learn Heina Heina to make her liable, and then Zima Zima to teach her that she gets capital punishment. So now, this is, I think, one of the only ones where there's no other opinion over here. So what's he arguing about? How does he argue about this? So Tosafos says this is a Gzeira Shava. So in the event that he argues on this Gzeira Shava, no, doesn't exist. Such a double Gzeira Shava doesn't exist. I disagree. And this Bezdin says, no, it's not true. We hold there is a Gzeira Shava. And they go up to the high court and they rule like the Bezdin and not like him, that really this does exist. And then he rules according to his own opinion. Then he'll become a Zaken Mamre. Next part of the Brisa is Bein Dam Ledam. So the Brisa told us if he rules incorrectly in something which is related to blood. What's that? Dam Nida, Dam Leda, and Dam Ziva. 3 cases of blood. Something to do with the Dam Nida, something to do with the Dam Leda, of a woman who gives birth, and something to do with the Dam Ziva. So now, each one. Dam Nida Beplukta de Akiva ben Mahalal v'Rabbanan. There's a machlokas about the different colors that render a woman a nida. One of them is some kind of greenish color. I don't know exactly if it's green the way we think. I don't think it's green the way we know it, but something in the world of yarok or greenish. Maybe it's more yellowish. I don't know exactly. Dama yarok. So now, Akiva ben Mahalal matarin. He says she's a nida, and they say she's not a nida. So that makes a big difference if she's a nida or not. That's also a dispute that can potentially render somebody if each one takes one side, that can make someone a zakin mamre. Dam leida. Okay, so this is a little complicated, but dam leida, we know that after a woman gives birth, so right for those first 2 weeks, she's tameh, and then she has to wait. Depends on a boy or a girl, 40 or 80 days to become fully pure. So now, what happens after 2 weeks if she continues to see blood? So says the Gemara, the Rav Levi, the Itma Rav Amar Mayin Echadhu, Hatorah Timaso, Hatorah Tiharto. The blood is coming from one place. The first 2 weeks, the Torah said that blood is impure. The next 2 weeks, the Torah said it's pure, but it's coming from one area, one ma'ayan, one spring, so to speak, one area of the body. The blood's coming from the same place. Just the first part, the first 2 weeks, the Torah impurifies it, and the second 2 weeks, it purifies it. The Levi Avar, no, it's actually coming from 2 different places. Shnei Mayanos Hain. So what happens? After 2 weeks, interesting, Nistamatame, one of the, I don't know the English word for it, one of the areas of the body gets stopped up, and therefore Niftachatar, and the other one gets opened up. And then afterwards, after those 40 or 80 days, Nistamatahor and Niftachatame. If you see after those days, so then you're going to be you're going to be rendered impure. It's going to be from a different place of the body, and that's going to be the impure blood. Okay, so once again, so now in this machlokas over here, so now it's going to make a difference. It depends where it's coming from. So according to Rav, that it's always coming from the same place, and the Torah is metamed and then metaher it and purified it. So after the whole thing's over, if she's still seeing blood, so that's going to render you. So once again, I guess okay, fine. Let's go slowly. After Rav, after 2 weeks, if she's still seeing blood, he holds it's tahor. Now, according to Levi says no. Once she stops seeing blood, then you could say that part of the body closed up and a new part opened up. Okay. After 80 days, when the whole purification process is over and she's still seeing blood, so according to Rav, it's coming from the same place and she's tmeya, because it's always from the same place. Just for those 2 weeks, the Torah said it's tahor. But if you see after 80 days, you're still seeing blood, that's tmeya. And according to Levi, we're going to say that part of the body closed up, another part opened up. And if the Zakin Mamre and they're going to argue, so then once they're going to argue on something which can make you Chiv Karis. If you're seeing blood and it's coming from the Tameh area, then you're going to be a Nida. Yeah. So depending on how you hold in this machlokas, depending on which part of the body is open, is continuing to flow blood, even after the purification process is over, is going to make a difference if you're going to be a nida or not going to be a nida. Yeah, so after 80 days, if she still sees blood, so Rav's going to say she's tmeya because it's always coming from one area. According to Levi, though, there was a period of time that it was the impure area that blood was flowing from. Then there was the pure area. So only when she stops flowing from the pure area, so even after 80 days are up, if she keeps flowing from that area, we assume that that's the part of the body where there is the pure area, that blood doesn't render her tameh. So that's from the tahor area. Only once she stops seeing blood from there and then restarts, do we say that when she restarts, it's coming from the area that makes you a nida. But as long as she continues to see blood, in those 80 days, that's considered pure blood, so to speak, and therefore she's not going to be a nida. So the nafkamina is, if she doesn't see blood, if she continues to see blood after 80 days, According to Rav, she's a full-fledged nida, and according to Levi, she'll only be a full-fledged nida once she stops and then restarts seeing. So that's a machlokas. If you're a nida or not, the nida can make you. The nida is a chiyuv kares, liable for kares, and that could render somebody a zaken mamre. Okay, dam ziva. What's that? The pluk to the bloods of Rabbi Yeshua. Ditnan. So now, a lady has birth pains, labor pains, and she's seeing blood. So now, kishta. Shlosha yamim betocha chadasar yom. So now she has labor pains, birth pains, and she's seeing blood for 3 days within those 11 days, which usually renders you a zava gedola. And therefore, once you're a zava gedola, now you have to have much more of a purity process. 7 clean days, korbanos you have to bring. So what happens if there's a birth pain and there's the 3 days of blood? So now, so if she stops for a 24-hour period from seeing blood and then gives birth, so then harezu yoledes bezov. So if for 3 days she saw blood and then she stopped seeing blood and gave birth 24 hours later, so it's a double whammy. She's now impure for being a lady who gave birth, and she's impure because she saw blood for 3 days. That's different. Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Yeshua Omer, no. He says Laila v'yom is Kollel Shabbos v'yomo. It's not 24-hour period. It's a night and a day. So if she saw 11 a.m. one day, the first opinion holds. If you have 24 hours and then gives birth, according to Rabbi Yeshua, no, you have to have a night and a day, just like Shabbos. You have to have a night has to go by and then a day has to go by. So if that happens and then she stops having pain, sheshavsa min atzar v'lo min adam. So then if she stops having pain for that period of time, but she doesn't stop bleeding, so then what? So then, yeah. So then it's going to render you also a zava because you bled for 3 days and you gave birth. However, the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua is more makel. He doesn't need 24 hours. He just needs a night and a day to go by. So once again, depending on how you hold him, this machlokas can make a difference if you're considered a zava or not a zava. I mean, if you have pains and you have no time where you stopped having pains, so then we assume that the blood came from childbirth and not from being a zava. So depending on how much time you need to render you a zava and a lady who's tameh, it's going to make a big difference. If you're a zava, that's going to have certain rules. They're going to have chiyuv kares, and therefore, if the zaken mamre argues on that, so then that's also going to potentially make him a zaken mamre. Bein din lidin, that part of the brisa, from judgment to judgment. So what does that mean? That was referring to dine mamanos, dine nefashos, and dine makos. So now, dine mamanos. So the monetary disputes. What's a machlokas? The pluk to dishmul Rabbi Abo. Do you need 3 people minimally for a bezdin or 2? So Damar Shmuel Shtaim Shlo Dine Din is the very beginning of Sanhedrin. 2 people that judge are considered it's a good judgment. Rather, Elo Shenikru Bezdin Chatzov. They're called a brazen bezdin. They should really ideally have 3, but 2 is still good. Rabbi Abo Amar LeDivrei Kol Ein Dine Din. No, 2 is not good. No matter what happens, you need 3 people. Okay, so now here, where's the chiyuv kares? You have a dispute on a monetary dispute, and we're saying that according to Rav Meir, this could make somebody a zaken mamre. The question is, where's the kares? So now, and this is going to begin like a whole slew of like the ramification cases. So if 2 people that judge is not a good judgment, and you've extracted money from somebody, so Reuben owes Shimon $100, you get together, 2 people for the bezdin, and they give the money to Shimon, rightfully so. But according to a Rabbi Abohu, you did nothing, right? It's stolen money. So now let's say you go marry a woman with that money. So now you think she's married, but according to the other person, she's not married. And now you want to go marry somebody else, or you have relations with somebody else. So that it can make a difference in how you dispute monetary cases that if you take the money that was won in the dispute or given over, and now use that to go marry somebody, so are you married or not? And if you're married, so then having relations with somebody else can get you a chiyuv kares. Yeah. So according to one, if you're not really married, if you marry somebody else, that's great. But if you're already married and you have relations with somebody else, that's terrible. So that's going to also get you a chiyuv kares. Dinei nefashos. What's that? Beplukta the Rebbe v'Rabbanon. The Tanya Rebbe Omer. He learns the verse that when something happens to somebody, v'nasata nefesh tachas nefesh. You have to give your soul for their soul. This is talking about a case where you attempted to kill somebody and you killed somebody else. So you went to give Reuben a punch, Reuben ducked, you ended up killing Shimon. So now, what do you have to do? So Rebbe says, you have to give money. When it means your soul, it means you have to give money. It says Nesina above in the Torah, and it says Nesina over here. So it's referring to money and not referring to actually giving your life. And according to the rabbis, they say that you don't have to give money. So now, what happens once again? If someone takes this money, now the guy that got killed, his kids come, they want their money back. So according to Rebbe, well, the father owes money. He tried to kill Reuven. He ended up killing Shimon. Shimon's children come and take money from Reuven's house. You owe us money. Give us the money. According to the Rabbanon, he never owed money. He owed his life. So now that's stolen money. Oh, stolen money. You go marry a woman. So you cannot marry a woman with stolen money. According to one opinion, you're married. According to the other opinion, you're not married. If you go marry somebody else, it's going to have a ramification in the world of kares, and that dispute is also something which could render somebody a zaken mamre. Dine makos, lashes. What's that? Where's this dispute? You have to give makos in front of 3 people. Mishum Rabbi Shmuel Amru b'chav gimel. Rabbi Shmuel says you have to give malchus in front of 3 people. So what happens if you had to give malchus in front of 23 people and you ended up giving only in front of 3 people? You got 3 judges together because you couldn't find 23 judges, let's say, right? So that's illegal. You can't do that. You can't go whack a Jew. So now that you whacked him in front of 3 people erroneously because you needed 23, so now you owe him money because you hurt him. He can't work now. He's embarrassed. So once again, is that considered stolen money or not stolen money? If you hold you have to give lash in front of 3 people, so that was justified. If you hold you have to give lash in front of 23 people, and you did it in front of 3 people, so now that's going to be something which now you have to owe. Now you owe money, and therefore either that money is rightfully his or not. Nafkamina being, if you take the money and you marry a lady, was that considered a marriage or not, or is it stolen money? If the zaken mamre holds like one of these 2 opinions, and it goes to the bezdin, and the bezdin says, you're wrong, they're right, and he goes and issues a ruling according to his opinion, he'll also be a zaken mamre. Bain nega lenoga, so some kind of tzaras. Which kinds? 3 kinds. Tzaras of a person, nega other, nega bata, nega begadim. Tzaras of a person, a house, and clothing. So they're all going to have a dispute that's going to have a ramification for kares, and therefore will render somebody a zaken mamre. Okay, so what is this? Let's see. Nige adam, if it comes to tzaras of a person, it's beplukta. It's a machlokas to Rabbi Yeshua v'Rabbanan. Titnan. So now different signs of what makes somebody a mitzora. Someone who's called a mitzora. Once you're mitzora, you have certain rules that you have to go outside the camp and you have a purification process. So now, in baheris kodem l'seir, if the white part of the tzaras preceded the hair halavan, then you're tamei. Im seir lavan kodem l'heres, if your white hair preceded the baheris, the spotting of tzaras, then you're pure. Safek, if you're not sure what came first, then you're tamei. That's the first opinion. Rabbi Yeshua Omer keha, some kind of dimming. What's that mean? Mai keha. Amarava keha tohor. Somehow, if it gets a little bit dimmer, so then he holds that is considered tahor. Now, what's the difference? Well, they dispute what makes you tamei, what makes you tahor, what makes you pure, what makes you impure. So where's the kares over here? If you walk into the Beis Hamikdash, according to one, you're pure. According to one, you're impure. And if you walk into the Beis Hamikdash, so then you're going to get kares. Then you are going to get kares. Yeah. Meaning according to the right, this idea that it gets a little bit more dim. Your spotting of tzaras, according to Rabbi Yeshua, that's going to make you pure. According to the rabbis, no such thing. So now, if you have some kind of spotting that got a little bit dimmer, whatever dimmer means, different kind of coloring, and now, according to one, you're pure, according to the other one, you're impure, and they get the Kohen and says you're pure, and you go into the Beis Hamikdash. So according to one opinion, you're chayav kares. According to the other opinion, you're a pure guy. So if the Zakin Mamre argues and holds like one of these opinions, and he argues with the with his local court and goes to Yerushalayim and comes back and issues a ruling against them and like him, that could also render you a Zakin Mamre. Nige batim, if you have taras in your house, that's going to be machlokes. We looked at Rabbi Dovid, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbanan. This I think we had. Yeah. So now, Ditnan. We're going through all of Shas. It's a good summary of all of Shas. Ditnan, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon Omer. Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, says, "La'olam, a house is never tamei, ain't about tamei ad, till you have these very specific qualifications." Remember, we said that a ben sor never happened, and the taras of the house never happened. Maybe it did happen. That's where this came up, because you need such a specific qualification. You have to see an area of taras like shnei grisen to lentils worth. Al shtei avanim on 2 stones, b'shtei salim on 2 walls, b'karen zavis in a corner, and the dimensions are the length is arko kishnei grisen, v'rochva and the width is like 1 gris. So that's all the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. My time the Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shimon says ksiv kir v'ksiv kiros. It says in one place it has to be on 1 wall, and it says it has to be on 2 walls. So what's 1 wall that's like 2 walls? The corner. Okay, so now where's the kares ramification over here? According to the rabbis, they don't need you to have it be on a corner. So now that your house is tamei, it's not on a corner. According to the Rabbanan, you could still become tamei. If you walk into a house that has taras in the house, you also become tamei, right? So now if you have taras that's not on a corner, according to the rabbis, you're impure. According to Rabbi Elazar, you're pure. If you now walk into the Beis Hamikdash, kares. So that's another dispute that has a kares ramification. That if a Zakin Mamre disputes and takes one of these sides, ends up being wrong and rules according to his opinion, he's going to render him a Zakin Mamre. Nige begadim, taras of clothing, beplukta, they changed to Rav Nosson, ben Avtulmus v'Rabbanan. They have a dispute about the taras on your clothing. The Tanya of Nosson ben Avtulmus Omer, minayin leprecha bebegadim shitahura. So it's some kind of like a flower, like a parach, some kind of sprouting of taras on your clothing. How do you know that when it sprouts and it fills up the entire garment, you're actually pure, not impure, right? Counterintuitive. A little taras on your clothing,
just like the body.
Oh, very good, just like the body. Namra karachas v'kabachas ba'adam. It says it by a person. These kinds of taras, karachas v'kabachas, different parts of the body where you have taras on you. The namra karachas, same wording is written by the begadim. Ma'alahalan parach b'kula tahar. Avkan parach b'kula tahar. Just like over there by a person, if it's you're fully white, you're fully tarast, so you're going to be pure. So too by the clothing, you'll be pure. But that's a dispute. You have a machlokas in this dispute, and then you wear the clothing. Are you pure or are you impure? So it makes a difference if you go into the Beis Hamikdash. Okay, we'll do one more. Divrei Elu is referring to 3 forms of sanctifying your property. Ha'arachin, v'acharamim, v'hegdeshos. So now, the section of the Torah called Erech, where you give your worth to the Beis Hamikdash, is beplukta de Rav Meir v'Rabban. They have a machlokas. Hamarich pagas mi ben chodesh. You give a value of a kid less than a month's old you want to give his value to the Beis Hamikdash. Machlokas, did you actually mean that or you didn't mean that? Because that has no value to it. So do we assume you meant the minimal value or you meant nothing? So Rav Meir Omer, no sin dama v'chama omrim lo omar klum. You said nothing. So now where's the kares over there? So the kares is going to be, once again, if you take that money and you go mekadesh and isha with it without realizing that it's kodesh money, that's called me'ilah. So according to one opinion, she's not married. According to the other opinion, she is married, and therefore if she goes and marries someone else, that's also going to have a kares ramification.
השקעה